When we think of a dangerous ocean, we think of sharks. We think of the deep dark. We think of what we cannot see below us. But 380 million years ago, before the first shark ever evolved into the form we recognize today, before the first dinosaur took a single step on land, before even the first tree grew tall enough to cast a shadow, the ocean already had a god. It did not have teeth. It did not need them. It had something far worse. 2 bone blades, self-sharpening, driven by jaws that could open in 1/50th of a second, generating a bite force comparable to a small car pressing through a set of living scissors. Its name was Dunkleosteus, and in its ocean, there were no rules, only the blade. Scientists call the Devonian period the Age of Fishes, and for good reason. 382 million years ago, the oceans were warm. Sea surface temperatures reached 30 degrees Celsius. Sea levels were high. Vast, shallow seas covered much of what is now North America, Europe, and Africa. These seas hosted the most productive reef ecosystems in the history of the planet. Larger and more diverse than even today's Great Barrier Reef. Coral towers the size of buildings, trilobites in their billions, ammonites spiraling through open water, primitive sharks still small and uncertain of their place, early lobe-finned fish, the distant ancestors of every land animal alive today, learning to breathe air at the surface. Life was everywhere, dense, competing, evolving at a furious pace. And at the center of all of it, something was watching, something armored, something ancient, something that had already solved the problem every predator struggles with: how to kill anything, regardless of size, regardless of armor, regardless of speed. In the late 19th century, fossil hunters working the shale cliffs of Cleveland, Ohio, began pulling something extraordinary from the rock. Massive, interlocked, bony plates, unlike any fish skull ever found, heavier than armor plating, shaped like a war machine. In 1873, paleontologist John Strong Newberry formally described the creature. It was later named Dunkleosteus, after Dr. David Dunkel, the American paleontologist who spent his career studying it. Its name means simply Dunkel's bone, a quiet name for the most terrifying fish that ever lived. Fossils have since been found in Ohio, Tennessee, Poland, Belgium, Morocco, and Russia. 8 distinct species, spread across the ancient shallow seas of the entire world. This was not a regional predator. This was a global sovereign.
To understand why Dunkleosteus was so dominant, you must first understand what it was built from, because this was not a fish in any sense we would recognize today. It was a placoderm, an armored fish, its head and thorax completely encased in interlocked bony dermal plates, not scales, plates, like medieval armor, but grown from the inside out. These plates were not just protection. They stabilized the skull during feeding. They absorbed the forces generated during biting, forces that would shatter the skull of any modern fish, and those forces were considerable. Now look at the jaw. Modern fish have a lower jaw that drops. Dunkleosteus was different. Both the upper and lower jaw moved simultaneously, opening wider, faster. The entire jaw system could open in 20 milliseconds, 1/50th of a second. So fast that the rapid expansion of the oral cavity generated powerful suction, pulling prey inward like a vacuum. Before the prey could react, before it could turn, before it could process what was happening, it was already inside, and then the blades closed, not teeth. Dunkleosteus had no teeth. Instead, 2 bone blades, self-sharpening. Every time the jaw closed, the upper and lower plates sheared against each other, maintaining a razor-cutting edge automatically, like a pair of living scissors that never go dull. The bite force at the blade edge reached an estimated 5,363 newtons. Some studies push that figure even higher, up to 7,495 newtons at the blade. To put that in perspective, that is comparable to having the full weight of a small car, pressing down through a pair of surgical blades in under 1 second. The prey species of the Devonian had evolved armor to survive. Thick bony plates, heavy dermal shields, their entire evolutionary strategy. Protection. Dunkleosteus made that strategy irrelevant. Its blades could cut through dermal armor as strong as chainmail. The armor that was supposed to save them became the thing that trapped them, because Dunkleosteus could not fully digest hard bony plates, so it did what no other predator in history has done quite so efficiently. It bit through the armor, extracted the soft tissue, and regurgitated the rest, like an owl casting a pellet. But the pellet was another fish's skeleton. But here is where the science becomes genuinely disturbing. In 2016, paleontologists studying Dunkleosteus fossils at the Cleveland Museum of Natural History made a discovery that changed how we understand this creature. On the fossilized suborbital bone of a Dunkleosteus torelli specimen, they found puncture marks and scrape patterns made by another Dunkleosteus, a bigger one. The apex predator of the Devonian Ocean was hunting itself. Dunkleosteus was cannibalistic. Larger individuals preyed on smaller members of their own species. This is not as rare in nature as it sounds. Modern crocodiles do it. Some shark species do it. But in Dunkleosteus, it reveals something profound about the Devonian food web. When you are the most powerful predator in the ocean, and you have already eaten everything else, the only prey left worthy of your design is yourself. And the science reveals one more layer to this behavior. As Dunkleosteus grew from juvenile to adult, its jaw changed shape. Studies show the jaw became more elongated. The anterior fang grew longer. A juvenile Dunkleosteus hunted soft-bodied prey, fish, early sharks, cephalopods. An adult Dunkleosteus hunted armored prey, other placoderms, other Dunkleosteus. It literally grew into a more terrifying version of itself. The older it became, the more specialized its weapons, the more armored its prey needed to be, to even register as a challenge. For 25 million years, Dunkleosteus ruled, unchallenged, undefeated, the undisputed sovereign of the most productive ocean in Earth's history. But between 372 and 359 million years ago, something began to happen that no armor could stop, no blade could cut, no suction could pull inward. The ocean began to suffocate. Scientists call it the late Devonian mass extinction, not one event, but a series of prolonged environmental catastrophes. The Kelvasser event, then the Hagenberg event, widespread ocean anoxia. Oxygen levels in the water dropped dramatically. The warm, productive shallow seas that had fed the Devonian ecosystem for millions of years began to collapse. Coral reefs, the foundation of the entire food web, were nearly eliminated. The prey species that Dunkleosteus depended on disappeared first. And apex predators are always the last to adapt, and the first to collapse when the base of the food web is destroyed. By the close of the Devonian, 70 to 80% of all species on Earth were gone. Every single placoderm species extinct. The armored fish that had dominated the ocean for over 70 million years, erased completely. Not one species survived. Dunkleosteus, the most powerful fish that ever lived, did not go out in a battle. It did not meet a predator it could not defeat. It starved in an ocean that could no longer support what it had built. The most advanced predator design of the Devonian was killed by the absence of oxygen. After the Devonian ended, after every placoderm vanished from the fossil record, the ocean did not stay empty. It rebuilt itself. New predators evolved to fill the vacancy. Sharks, which had lived in the shadow of Dunkleosteus for millions of years, finally inherited the ocean. And here is the truth that the fossil record forces us to confront. The shark that terrifies us today, the great white, the tiger shark, the bull shark, they are not the apex of ocean evolution. They are the survivors of a world that Dunkleosteus already dominated and abandoned through extinction. Sharks did not conquer the ocean. They inherited it from something that no longer exists, something with no teeth, only 2 bone blades, and a jaw that opened in 1/50th of a second. The blade is gone. The ocean moved on, but every shark alive today, every apex predator in every ocean, is swimming in the shadow of something that came before it. something that needed no teeth, something that had already solved the ocean 380 million years ago. And if the Devonian seas ever return, warm, shallow, oxygen-rich, and full of armored prey, evolution has already written the blueprint. It is sitting in a glass case in the Cleveland Museum of Natural History,